everybody, it's Jenny, and today I'm going to be sharing a project using the July Box of the Month kit from Not Too Shabby, which you can find at nottoshabbyshop.com, and I'll be sure to include that link in the description below. And from that kit, I'm going to be using some ephemera, some gems, a stamp set, and a paper pad, along with some Slimline lawn fawn dies and some stitched hexagon dies. So to start my card, I'm going to pick out a bunch of the Bumblebee ephemera pieces. Next, I'm going to arrange my pieces to get a rough idea of how I want to lay them out on my card front. I used the stamp set from the kit called Buzzy Bees to heat emboss two sentiments that read "Be wonderful and be kind" onto some black cardstock with white embossing powder. For my main card panel, I'm going to cut a piece of black cardstock using the largest stitched Slimline die from Lawn Fawn. I also cut a smaller panel from white cardstock, but I don't end up using that. Next, I'm going to look through the Busy Bees paper pad and just start picking out some patterns. Once I have some patterns chosen and the size hexagon die I'm going to use, I'm going to cut out some of the hexagon shapes from each of the pattern papers. After I had all my pieces cut out, I started to arrange them on my card front. After having all my pieces laid out how I wanted them, I started to glue them down with some Tombow liquid glue. Next, I trimmed all the pieces that were hanging off the edges of my panel. Here's where I start to lay out my ephemera pieces and trim down my sentiments. I really loved how my background turned out, but once I had all my pieces on, it looked a little too busy. So instead of using a panel of white cardstock, I decided to go with a piece of vellum so that it muted it a little bit, but you could still see all the different patterns through it. At first I cut my vellum piece to cover the whole panel at 8.5 inches by 3.5 inches, but I decided to leave a little bit of a border, so I trimmed it down to do so. make sure I didn't have any of the glue showing through the vellum, I glued down my ephemera pieces to the piece of vellum first, and then added all the glue behind them, and then attached my vellum piece to the main card panel. Next, my plan was to just add some additional little rhinestones, but because the vellum was sticking up at the top where there wasn't an ephemera piece, I ended up with 2 globs of glue that I used sequins on instead of the little rhinestones. After I finished adding all my rhinestones and sequins, I moved on to creating a card base using a piece of 110-pound white cardstock. Next, I used my scoreboard to add the score line down the center and glued down my main panel with some more liquid glue. Next, I just trimmed up my card base a little bit where I had some excess hanging over, and that finishes up my Bumblebee Slimline card. I think this card turned out super sweet, and I really had fun using all the adorable ephemera pieces. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!